Sorry, everyone. I was going to do a story about an earthquake. Got 4 pages of a summary written with more to come and just could not do it. Sometimes events are just a little too devastating and horrific to read about when you're not in the right frame of mind. We'll get there, kids, but not this week. Instead, we're going to do something shorter and more fun. In my research, I read loads and loads of newspaper articles, and though I don't always pay attention to them, sometimes my eyes clap on an advertisement that just makes you say, "What the hell is that?" Or you say, "Oh wow, I had no idea they've been around so long." We're going to look at some old-timey ads. Vicks. I love Vicks Vapor Rub. I have had allergy and sinus problems for a good portion of my life, like right now, and between my mom rubbing Vicks on my neck and chest and me putting a gloop of it at the opening of my nostrils, it's all good. The invention of Vicks Kleenex is a marvel, and I stuck up year round. So when I saw this in 1925, woohoo! Vicks Vapor Rub has actually been around since 1894, so like it's 31 years old at this point in the ad world. Now, tonsillitis, I'm not sure it could help with that, but hey, we love us some Vicks, slap some on ma, and get stuff draining. Ivory soap. It floats and has been around since 1879. This particular ad is from 1895. Simple and straightforward. I vaguely remember Ivory soap, but I don't think it was used in our household. Anacin. To help us segue into our more weird-looking ones, here's one for Anacin in 1925. It's been around since 1916, and you'll note how the name is written here instead of all together like we're used to seeing. And dang, that kid is swelled up. And yes, good old sexism was alive and well in these days, as we know from past stories. Champion Spark Plugs 1927, talking about the woman driver. The lady, who is definitely nicely dressed for a drive out, says, quote, "The joy I get out of motoring is in having a peppy, responsive engine. My husband tells me that one reason why my car operates so well is because it's equipped with Champion Spark Plugs," end quote. Now, maybe the husband really is just being informative because Lord knows I don't know much about cars. But the heading of woman driver. Here's another from 1925. Gloralux shampoos offer a variety of types of shampoos so that you can assess your needs and use the right type. And because you're apparently embarrassing your husband. Gloralux asks, quote, "Do the men of your family take pride in introducing their friends, their important business acquaintances to you? The appearance of your hair is a vital factor in the impression you make," end quote. Well, thanks. And in this picture, the husband and his wife both look less than pleased with this beat cute with what I'm guessing is a business acquaintance. She's probably like, "Who's this loser?" And the husband is like, "What's with your hair?" The desire to be discreet about womanly issues, as the newspapers tended to be back in the day, like here in 1909, almost makes it worse because you're just like, what the hell is this ad really for? Take this one called, with nothing to make you worried, Dr. Pierce's favorite prescription. Oh, okay. I like how the lady is like, "Keep it secret, keep it safe." And the ad headline is, "Silence!" Quote, "The instinct of modesty natural to every woman is often a great hindrance to the cure of womanly diseases. Women shrink from the personal questions of the local physician which seem indelicate. The thought of examination is abhorrent to them, and so they endure in silence a condition of disease which surely progresses from bad to worse. It has been Dr. Pierce's privilege, I'm sure, to cure a great many women who have found a refuge for modesty in his offer of free consultation by letter. All correspondence is held as sacredly confidential. Dr. Pierce's favorite prescription restores and regulates the womanly functions, abolishes pain, and builds up and puts the finishing touch of health on every weak woman who gives it a fair trial. It makes weak women strong, sick women well. You can't afford to accept a secret nostrum as a substitute for this non-alcoholic medicine of known composition," end quote. Now, I was curious. Before 1890, it was mostly alcohol with opium tincture. Hello. Around 1920, the tablets were composed of lady slipper root, unicorn root, viburnum, blue cohosh root, Oregon grapefruit, black cohosh root. Supposedly helped one's headaches, nervous tendencies, and despondency. 1913, this is actually fine, just has a horrific name, the herbicide. It's primarily for your hair to help your flakiness, to keep it from falling out, and to help regrowth. Quote, lives there a woman with a soul so dead who does not want nice hair on her head, end quote. Sure, we all want nice hair, but your name, the herbicide, yeah. This ad makes me laugh. I can't go, Beth. I'm too nervous. I wish you'd start smoking Camels. They're so mild, so enjoyable, and they never upset your nerves. Tagline, you can smoke them steadily because they never get on your nerves, never tire your taste, until you get cancer and you can't taste anything. That's from 1934. This is actually another old-time brand, Wrigley's Gum, which has been around since 1893. This ad from 1924 talks about mom using it to help her kids' teeth, and kids love it. It removes food particles and massages the gums and aids tooth nutrition. And when father brings home Wrigley's, he benefits the teeth and appetite, digestion, and nerves of the whole family. Thank you, Dad. It will clear his breath and soothe his throat after smoking. That's great. You will have fresh breath while you're getting chemo. And I'm glad they've made their classic arrow shape into an ultra creepy mascot. Sorry for the hate on cigarettes. My grandfather died when I was 6 months old from lung cancer for smoking, and he refused to quit. I'm still sore about it. Before we get to a handful of creepy-ass mascots, let's look at some ads that were intended to be informative and helpful and maybe comforting. And just for a hint on the odd, 1925 Juneau Dairy was very proud to let you know about their awesome milk and how much young Junior loved the pure and fresh milk, and it was even good for adults. So why are we singing its praises? Well, because, quote, our cows have been free from tuberculosis for 4 years, end quote. That's good, great, fantastic. Taken in the context of this time period when TB was still hanging around, no drugs available until the 1940s, saying you were 4 years free of cow TB was an excellent thing to crow about, absolutely. But reading about it in these days, still yes, it's good, just good. Sanitariums, sanitaria, were on every street corner in these days. Just kidding, but they were fairly available. This is an ad from 1925 about the Wayne Leonard Sanitarium, where you could be sick or well, and they've got your back, Jack. And if you've been toting an invalid around and you're just tired of it, quote, you can safely leave your invalid here, end quote. Well, that's good to know. Let me go grab my invalid out of the trunk and we'll be right over. Back in 1890, you wanted to make sure your boys and young men were getting the best schooling possible, and at Littleton High School, where you could board also, you would get an excellent location, thorough instruction, and your morals would be strictly guarded. Well, that's good to know. I would hate to have Junior's morals strictly unguarded. When you hear mullet, you immediately think, oh yeah, business in the front, party at the back. I did not have this haircut ever, thankfully, but knew plenty of people that did. That aside, I saw this ad from 1905 and did a head twist because I was curious. What on earth are they meaning here? Mullet was more commonly known to mean fish. 3,200 pounds of new mullets? Yeah, I hope that's fish. Here's an ad that will make you wish you could go find a hole to crawl in from 1925. Quote, are you one of the pale-faced failures? You see them on every side. Pale faces, the unsuccessful. Men and women who are leading languid, listless, incomplete lives. End quote. Great. Thank you. I had no idea I could just take Good's Pepto-Mangan to cure how unsuccessful I am. It's got iron and manganese to rebuild my blood and make it powerful. Fantastic! It was 16% alcohol, but apparently would help those that were anemic. So before we get to some creepy mascots to end our video, 1924, Mrs. Reynolds was dying from diabetes, took some glandular extracts, and now she eats everything now, which if you have diabetes is probably not okay, but you can actually go and talk to her on 14th Avenue South. I would love to know who was at that address pretending to be Mrs. Reynolds. This one I just don't even understand from 1906. I'm thinking, okay, we got Professor Stein, who is the legless wonder. He's at Bluff City Rink, which I'm assuming is a skate rink of some sort. Quote, yours for courtesy and comfort. All this week? Why is he at a skating rink for my courtesy and comfort? I mean, that's hecka sweet. I tried to look up this person just to see and came up with squat. Years ago, I worked in HR at a home health place and was fresh with skills using PowerPoint. I made an advertisement for some sort of supplemental insurance and had a picture of a nice home where it said, do you want to live here? And then next to it, no home, just the foundation. Or do you want to live here? Pleased as punch, showed my boss, and she was like, no, that's too upsetting. My thought was, it would get attention. As did this one when I saw it. Good night. This phone company out of Providence is using the ad tactic of saying that a woman ended her own life because her husband didn't call her when he got called out of town. Sure, yes, you should keep touch, and as they say plainly, use the telephone. Yikes. Now, this BB isn't creepy. Well, sort of. But the headline that children cry for Castoria just makes me laugh. I doubt children are begging for Castoria. I don't know much about castor oil except for that scene in Stand By Me where Gordy is telling the other boys one of his stories he's written about lard-ass Hogan, who wanted revenge at the annual pie eat, and prior to sitting for the pie eat, he drinks a whole bottle of castor oil. And then goes on to chow down on blueberry pies. And once blueberry pie hits castor oil, vomit city, which sets off a chain reaction. Yes, that's what I know about castor oil. And aside from possibly feeling better after blowing your gasket, I don't think kids are begging for it. Here's an ad for something called Lightning Amalgamator from 1900. When I looked up what an amalgamator was, it's primarily a device used to mix dental type of materials, but I guess essentially it's anything that mixes up something. Anyway, that's not the point here. The point is, what is this elf thing and what is with his face? He's like, you don't want to call and see a demonstration. Don't you do it. A similar artist in 1924 brings us this ad for Prairie Rose Creamery Butter, which sounds great. But what is with this kid and this odd hat it's wearing? Is that like a rose stem? And he looks like he doesn't want to give you that butter either. 1924 Michelin Man. We know the Michelin Man. He's been around for many dogs' ages. But what the hell is this? Where is his eyes? I can't help but quote the Rosemary Baby movie. What have you done to its eyes? I guess the Michelin Man doesn't need to see squat, but still, some pretend irises in this drawing would have dialed down the creepy factor. Now, I wasn't sure which one of these last two was my favorite. They're both equally, well, here you go. 1895, Grove's Tasteless Chill Tonic, which will make your kids as fat as pigs and apparently will make your pigs develop kids' heads. Supposedly it was actually for the relief of malaria, chills, and fever. I thought, oh, it makes you chill, like relaxed and laid back. No. Not that kind of chill, particularly when your pigs are growing baby heads. And for our grand finale, Skinless Franks, with a mascot of a Frankfurter with what appears to be tiny human legs wearing pants and shoes and half taking a jacket off. What is he saying, the tiny text? Quote, yes, sir, I've taken off my coat and defeated indigestion, end quote. Apparently, the staff of scientists, chemists, and experienced casing men achieve the peak of perfection with this product, and that no matter how much you liked frankfurters before, these will be a revelation to you. I'm sure. Talk of the town? Indeed. Hope you enjoyed this run through of some very interesting ads from the old days. I will be doing this again once I gather up another batch down the road because I have to. It's too much fun. And some weeks, that's all I want to have. See you.